Although most people are fairly familiar with the different formatting tools and features in Microsoft Excel, including highlighting cells, changing the font and the alignment and so forth, conditional formatting is less well known and yet an extremely useful tool. And in this tutorial I'm going to show you not only how to use it, but also why you would want to use it. I've set up a very simple spreadsheet here looking at the idea of putting on a play at a school, and a very simple income and expenditure spreadsheet. On the left hand side we have here the money that's coming in, so we're expecting to get about £60 from advertising, £40 from the sale of programs, £250 from sales of tickets and so on, and that generates a total estimated income of £390. And that formula we can see there equals sum and then those four cells added up. And on the right hand side we have our costs, our expenses. So lighting is going to cost us £125, and then we have some other costs here, meaning it's going to cost us £347 to put the play on. At the bottom here we have another cell, another formula with a number 43 in it. And what this is doing is calculating how much money we're either going to make in total or how much money we're going to lose in total. Obviously, if the money coming in is greater than the money going out, we're making a profit. If they're the same, we break even. And what we don't want to find is that the money coming in is less than the money going out, because for the purpose of this performance we need to be either breaking even or making a profit. Now, whilst we have a cell down here that calculates the difference between the income and the expenditure, it's not always terribly clear, and especially if it drops below zero to become a minus sum, in other words it's costing us money, it's not immediately obvious. If I show you here, let's take our ticket sales down to £200, and that means that we're now £7 overdrawn. And you can see there's a small minus sign to the left of the pound symbol to show that that's £7 loss. But unless you look closely, it's very easy to miss that. Let's put our ticket sales back up to £250, so that we're now in the positive again, but the difference really isn't very obvious. And this is where conditional formatting can help. What I'm going to do is click on this cell here, the total, and go up to the toolbar at the top, or the ribbon, and we need to be in the home section here. And if we just go along to the right hand side slightly, in the styles section of the ribbon we have conditional formatting. We'll click on that, and of all these options the only one you'll generally use is the top one, highlight cells. And what we'd like to do is to create a rule so that if the cell is less than 0, it's going to warn us by colouring the cell red, for example. So conditional formatting, highlight cells, less than, and that brings up this little panel, and we'd like to have this as 0 as the value. So in other words, we're going to format this cell if it is less than 0, and on the right hand side we can choose the style of formatting. It's brought up the default example, which is light red fill with dark red text. There are some others, and you can create your own of course as well, but I'm going to stick with a light red fill with dark red text, because if the value in this cell is less than 0, in other words we're making a loss, then we want that to be highlighted in red, red being a suitable colour for warning of something. So we click OK to apply that rule, and obviously at the moment this cell hasn't changed, it's formatting exactly the same because of course it's not less than 0. If we change these ticket sales again to show just £200, straight away we can see the conditional formatting rule kick in. We're in the minus, so we're losing money, and it's filled this cell with a light red and formatted the text, the number, as dark red. So straight away that becomes much more obvious that it's less than 0. We can set up another rule so that if it is greater than 0, it highlights this cell green. So again, we can see very, very clearly straight away what the status of the overall balance is. So let's click on this cell again. We go up to conditional formatting, highlight cells, and this time it's going to be greater than. And again, we type in 0. So we're going to format this cell if the value is greater than 0, and we'll choose a different color here. We'll choose green, so a green fill with dark green text. Click OK. And you can actually set up 3 separate rules on a particular cell, so we can have 3 different colors depending on the value. So click OK. It's still highlighted in red, of course, because we're still in the minus. So let's improve our ticket sales to £250. And now you can see our second conditional formatting rule has kicked in to highlight this cell in green. So it's a very visual, very obvious way of seeing at a glance the value of a cell and whether it is greater than or less than a particular value, which in income and expenditure forms is extremely useful.